let's start. So once again, good afternoon, and I hope you have taken your lunch, your late lunch. Everyone, I think, took their lunch late, no? Ako rin, kasama rin ako dun. Late ako nag-lunch. Because of our research class this morning. And expect that during our research and statistic classes, medyo mahaba. Actually, ang 3 hours kulang eh. 2 to 3 hours kulang because I will be discussing a lot because for you to learn research and statistics, talagang napakadaming concepts na dapat niyong matutunan. So for this afternoon, allow me to discuss with you the introduction to statistics. I know everyone is already familiar with the statistics kasi nung college kayo ay nag-start na rin naman kayo, no? But this time, we will elevate our knowledge to graduate school to one step higher. Kumbaga, one step higher than our knowledge from college level. So, as an introduction, with the pandemic situation right now, stress in the graduate school must be lessened, no? It must be lessened. Naniniwala ba kayo doon? Na dapat less ang stress nyo kasi pandemic na nga, stress pa kayo? Yes or no?
Pareho lang, sir.
Pareho lang.
Dapat walang stress.
Maybe po, maybe.
Maybe, oo.
Pero sir, parang mas nakaka-stress ngayon.
Oo. Talaga kaya sabi ko nga, sa panahon ng pandemic, may stressful na ang pandemic, syempre naman. Sino ba nagsabing hindi stressful ang pandemic? But we need to lessen. When I say we need to lessen, nandyan na nga, dadagdagan pa ba natin? Bawasan na lang natin. That's why we will make things easier this time. Kaya nga, if you will notice, I'm trying my level best to ensure that research and statistics will be easier for you. Kita nyo naman, walang reporting, ako lahat ang magdi-discuss. O ano pang mahirap doon? Makikinig lang kayo, tapos yan, nakakapagkape pa kayo sa bahay, nakakain-kain pa kayo, nakakapag-telebabad pa kayo. Nakikita ko minsan may kausap sa phone habang habang nasa Zoom class. So, the reason why I do not want you to do reporting is of course, hindi para gawing traditional yung klase natin, kundi ang reason ko is, unang-una, busy na kayo sa kanya-kanyang work ninyo, may mga work from home kayo. Pangalawa, hindi ko sure kung forte nyo ang research and stat, baka pag pinag-report ko kayo kung ano-ano lang ang mga sabihin ninyo sa klase. So therefore, ako na lang ang magdi-discuss ng lahat ng topics para makasave tayo ng time. Agree ba kayo doon?
Definitely, sir.
Definitely.
Yes po, sir. Yes po, sir.
Yes
Agree
po,
po.
sir. Buong puso
Yes,
po,
sir.
sir.
Super yes po.
Thank you po, Doc.
No problem. Pero
Strongly agree.
isa lang i-request ko whenever we are having classes and whenever there are questions that I'm throwing to you, sasagot lang kayo para alam ko nagising pa kayo at hindi natutulog, no? Kasi like sa screen ko ngayon, nakikita ko sa screen ko PowerPoint ko, tsaka 2, 4, 5 persons ulit. So syempre hindi ko nakikita yung iba. Baka mamaya yung iba kunyari nandito present pero wala naman physically, baka nag-left. Kaya nga nire-require ko na sana naka-open yung camera para makita ko kayo. But of course, it's not my loss kung hindi kayo makikinig sa klase ko. It's not my loss. I already know this topic. Ang point ko, kayo ang dapat makinig dahil kailangan nyo to when you do your thesis writing. Because research and statistics are like husbands and wives that they cannot be separated. No? You will find it difficult. You will encounter a lot of trials, problems when there is a problem between husbands and wives. Naniniwala ba kayo doon? Of course.
Yes, sir.
Katulad ng research and statistics, kapag meron ka diyang isang hindi naintindihan, gulo yan. Ending, hindi ka makakatapos ng thesis mo. No? So, I'd like to think na one of your primary reasons why you are continuing your graduate school and why you transferred from School X to Meycauayan College is because you would like to finish your graduate school. Tama po ba?
Opo.
Yes po.
At
Correct
tama po ba
po.
yung iba dito ay kasamaan ko na sa School X dati?
Apo.
Opo.
Okay. Kaya,
Yes po, sir.
Yes po.
kaya ako sinasabing School X kasi X na yun. Kumbaga, pass na yun. So I believe that you followed me and you are here at Meycauayan College doing online classes is because you would like me to help you finish your degree, no? And the most that I can do is to teach you, no? And therefore, we will be having now an introduction to statistics and the beauty of pandemic. Siguro sinasabi nyo, si Sir Pandemic na puro beauty pa rin na nakikita. Kasi nga, sabi natin, let us always look at the brighter side of the story. Kasi pag puro negative ang tinignan natin, talaga namang may stress ka, mag-iinit ulo mo. No? So the beauty of the current pandemic is that we are at home. No? We are very comfortable sitting in our respective houses. At the same time, we have more time with our family, of course, kasi kasama natin ang family sa bahay natin. And at the same time, we have more time to do our research this time. Unlike nung meron tayong physical reporting, face-to-face reporting, nauubos yung oras natin sa school, nauubos yung oras natin sa traffic, pauwi at saka papasok. O ngayon, wala tayong biyahe. So therefore, we have more time to study and to learn research and statistics. And another advantage of pandemic is that you will now have the chance to, you have no options but to learn the technology. Technology-based kasi tayo ngayon. Whatever subjects you are learning or you are teaching, technology is part and parcel of any subject. No? That is why technology now becomes the core skill or requirement in any subject. The reason why I'm telling you that, because in statistics, we will abide by the technology requirement. We will use the fourth industrial revolution. As I've mentioned this morning, I will not allow you to memorize formula. I will not require you to buy calculators to compute. Kasi dati pag sinabing statistics, manual computation. The trend right now, the current trend right now, when we speak of statistics, there should also be an assistance from technology. And one of the famous softwares is, of course, SPSS. SPSS stands for Statistical Packages for Social Sciences. Yun. And actually, there are other more softwares that are available that you can use. But the good thing about SPSS is that there are downloadables SPSS. And some of them, you can download it for free trial for 1 week, parang ganon. Because if you would like to have your own SPSS, as I've mentioned this morning, it will be costly. Kasi you will be needing to subscribe to SPSS. So therefore, I have my SPSS in my laptop. One of our activities, one of our meetings, I'm gonna show you how to operate an SPSS and how to use the SPSS to make sense of your data. Kasi part of the research process, if you remember this morning, is the analytical phase. Di ba? Merong We have conceptual phase. Ano yung pangalawang phase after ng conceptual? Design phase, empirical phase or data gathering, and analytical. Meaning to say that for you to be able to analyze your data, you need to use statistical treatments. That's why after gathering data, you need to make sense of those data. And the data can be tabulated either manually or through the software. That is why right now, I am telling you that most of our discussion, since we are all millennials, I could see in your faces that you are still young. I think your ages are ranging from 25 to 35 pa lang. Ang babata nyo pa, oh. Ayan. So meaning, I could see that you are all still millennial and technology is not a problem to you, no? Because you will be using software for you to be able to compute for your statistics. All right? Okay ba sa inyo that one of our activities in statistics is the use of SPSS. I have the SPSS in my laptop. I'm going to show it to you using our Zoom application or platform. And then it's up to you whether you will download your own SPSS or you will just listen to the SPSS lecture that I will be delivering to you. No? Kayong bahala doon. Anong plano nyo? Do you plan to purchase your own or you just plan to listen to the lecture and just to look for a statistician to process your data?
Just to listen, sir.
Send po muna, Doc.
Mga magkano po halaga ng SPSS package?
Ay mahal, mga 100,000.
Siguro po kukuha na lang ng statistician.
Oh, kasi kung one time mo lang naman gagamitin, why purchase a very expensive software? And that is the reason why I am here to assist you and to teach you in your statistical computation. So let's start with our class. So when you say statistics, we know that data are everywhere. All of you, I think, are in the MAED program, and I'm sure that all of you are teachers. And teachers would have so many data. You have data on grades of your students. You have data about the salary of your co-teachers. You have the data about the national achievement test, about the school-based management performance of the school, etc., etc. And when we say data, even the categories of your students, whether they are male or female, those are also data. And schools are very rich in data. But the question is, how do you make sense of those data? That is where statistics come in, no? So therefore, statistical techniques are used to make many decisions that affect our lives. This morning, I gave you an example about, let's change the example about the relationship between intelligence quotient and let's say NAT performance. We know that national achievement test is very important in our school. Tama po ba? And even before, even in the past, the NAT performance has always been the basis for your PBB. Alam niyo ba yung PBB? Narinig niyo na ba yung PBB sa school niyo?
Yes, sir.
Ano yun?
Yes po.
Ano yun?
Performance-based
bonus.
Akala ko pinedibrad. So that performance-based bonus is based on, of course, the performance, And one of the indicators of performance is the National Achievement Test. So again, if you would like to know the factors that are affecting the National Achievement Test of the student, then that can be another research. Example, there are psychologists who are espousing that the intelligence quotient is greatly affecting the performance of the students, which means to say that the higher the IQ, the better the academic performance. Parang the higher the IQ, mas matataas yung mga nagiging grade niya sa subject, which can be true, di ba? Because most or some of the subjects in elementary or high school are written and taught in English. Tama po ba? Ang tanging Filipino lamang na tinuturo sa Filipino, ang tanging subject lamang na tinuturo sa Filipino ay ano ba? Filipino. Meron ba bang sibika at kultura? Ano pa ba yung mga subject?
Araling panlipunan po.
Araling panlipunan.
Apo, baka po, pag MAPE po, elementary.
MAPE po, MAPE.
Okay, alright.
At saka ESP po.
ESP.
Alright. Good. But all the rest, all the other subjects and the rest of the subjects are taught in English. And we know that the Philippines is not performing very well in terms of the, what is that? The recent examination that we failed. Yung nasa bottom 2 tayo.
Reading comprehension po.
Reading comprehension. And you know, what the possible reason for that? The possible reason is that many of our students cannot comprehend because of the basic requirement of English language. So why am I telling you about English language? Because when you say intelligence quotient, part of the intelligence quotient assessment is the assessment of the students' quantitative or math, linguistic or English, and reasoning ability. But the problem in the Department of Education, correct me if I am wrong, parang you do not have an IQ test profiling. Tama ba? Meron ba kayo? When you accept students, do you ask them to take the examination, take the intelligence quotient examination? Yes or no?
Wala po. Wala po, sir.
Wala. Oh. So therefore, actually, that's one of the problems of the Department of Education. No? Sorry, baka may taga-Department of Education dito, mapapalo yata ako. Because sometimes it's difficult to handle students that have multiple or different varying IQ. Kasi ang iba dyan, pag nag-discuss ka ng mabilis, yung mga matataas ang IQ, makukuha nila kagad. Pag binagalan mo naman, magagalit naman sa yung mga matatalino dahil ang bagal mo. Pero makaka-adapt naman yung mga medyo mababang IQ. So therefore, I think that can be a topic for research. That if you would like to know whether the intelligence quotient of the students can be a predictor for their performance in the National Achievement Test, that can be done, no? Kaya lang, the problem with the Department of Education, you do not have a profiling of your students. Correct me if I'm wrong. You do not have any knowledge about the IQ of the students. Right or wrong?
Right, sir.
Right. Oo. Kaya nangyayari minsan, when you come to your class, you're very prepared, and then you prepare yourself to speak in English with English twang, accent, pinaginalingan mo, no? Para kang call center agent. Tapos, paglabas mo ng classroom, yung mga estudyante walang natutunan kasi hindi pala makaintindi ng English. So yun ang problema natin sa Department of Education. Because the Department of Education do not profile the students. You do not have an IQ profiling of the student. So therefore, syempre, as a teacher, ang ginagawa mo, turo ka lang ng turo. At parang hindi mo alam kung natututo ba sila or hindi. Kasi nga, hindi mo alam yung kanilang IQ level. So that's the problem with the Department of Education. So the reason why I'm giving that as an example, because as teachers, you have so many topics, you have so many variables, you have so many data in your school na pwede niyong pag-aralan. Ikot lang kayo sa departamento ninyo, napakadaming data dyan na pwede niyong gawan ng statistical treatment. So therefore, no matter what your career is, you will make professional decisions that involve data. And it is suggested that in research, when we make decisions, it is always based on data. Kasi sabi natin kanina umaga, if we make decisions without data, anong tawag doon? Pag walang basis, anong tawag?
Chismis.
Chismis.
Chismis. Oo, yan ang number one na yan ang number one na talent ng mga Pinoy, ang mag-chismis. Pero since nasa graduate school tayo, sana makabawas tayo dun sa mga chismosa na when we make decisions, we always ensure that our decisions are based on data. Because an understanding of statistics or methods will help you make decisions effectively. Dapat galing talaga siya sa data ninyo. Kasi for example, if you found out that the IQ pala is affecting the National Achievement Test performance of the students, then you can make a policy that there should be a screening for these students. Or you can come up with a program. If for example, in the IQ test, you found out that the linguistic ability of the student is very low, then you can come up with an intervention program that will further enhance the English capability of the students. Kaya nga, ang research and statistics, sabi ko kanina, mag-asawa yan. Hindi yan pwede paghiwalayin. When you make decisions in research, you need statistical computation. Kaya research and stat, dapat palagi sila magkasama. Did you get that? So far clear?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes po.
So the statistics applications, is worldwide actually, and in terms of its applications, it can be applied in the business world. For example, for finance, if you are in the finance department, you can do a correlation and regression analysis, index numbers, time series analysis. If you are in the marketing, you can do a hypothesis testing, chi-square test, non-parametric statistics. If you are a personnel, you can also do a hypothesis testing, chi-square test, non-parametric test. And if you are in the operating management, you can do a hypothesis testing, estimation, analysis of variance, and time series analysis. Meaning to say, kahit anong profession mo, nagkataon lang na kayong lahat na estudyante mo ngayon ay mga teachers. These are also applicable. All of these are applicable to us. And the beauty, if you are knowledgeable about statistics, parang ang research ay napakadali din. Kaya mas maganda, i-love nyo parehas yung statistics and research para mas madali nyo maintindihan ng lahat. Marami pa rin pumapasok, kaya nag-admit ako ng mga pumapasok. Right now, we are already 128, 130. May mga pumapasok pa sa ating Zoom class. All right. So, what do we mean by statistics? Some authorities define statistics as the science of collecting, organizing, presenting, analyzing, and interpreting data to assist in making more effective decisions. What is important in statistics is that there should be data. Because if we do not have any data at all, wala kang gagamitan ng statistics. And part of statistical procedures is the collection. Kaya nga kanina sabi ko sa inyo, sa research, mababago ng konti yung ating strategy ng data collection ngayon. Kung dati, face-to-face kayong nangongolekta ng data sa mga respondents, ngayon hindi. Meron akong ka-team teach na IT expert, no? And I will ask them to teach you how to come up with an instrument, with a data gathering tool that will avoid face-to-face interaction. Meaning to say, lahat online. It's going to be online. So, statistical analysis used to manipulate, summarize, and investigate data so that useful decision-making information results. Ayan. So when we talk about statistics, it is going to be more of numbers. Numbers. Kaya if you hate numbers, starting today, I will request na i-like nyo ng numbers kasi no choice kayo. You will encounter a lot of numbers. But this time, no more manual computation because I'm gonna teach you how to use the software for computation. Any questions so far? I'd like to entertain question before I move on. Any question? So actually, when we say statistics, there are two types of statistics, and they are descriptive statistics and inferential statistics. So when we say descriptive, this is a method of organizing, summarizing, and presenting data in an informative way. Descriptive yun. No? When you say naman inferential, this is the methods used to determine something about a population on the basis of sample. Or in layman's term, padalin ko lang sa inyo para di kayo masyadong ma-toxic. Pag sinabi natin descriptive, from the word descriptive, you are just describing the data. Kaya kadalasan dyan, when you describe the data, mga ano lang yan, mga mean, median, mode, standard deviation, quartile deviation, etc., etc. You are describing the data. No? Halimbawa, if I ask you, for example, kung naka-attend kayo ng class ko this morning, if I ask you to describe the way I discussed our research class this morning from a rating of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest and 1 being the lowest, how will you rate our research class this morning? Sige nga, pasagot nga po.
10 po.
10. 10 po.
10.
Siyempre, di nila ako gagawin
10 po.
Harap po.
Yes, sir. 10 po.
O, example lang yon. Alam ko namin sasagot nyo 10 kasi ayaw nyo akong ma-offend. Pero when you say descriptive statistics, you are describing the current situation. And usually, ano lang to, basic statistics to. On the other hand, when you say inferential statistics, you're already making inferences. Inferences. Meaning, meron ka ng conjecture. Meron bang English major dito? Ano ba ang layman's term ng conjecture? Kasi pag sinabi natin conjecture is already present, meron ng tinatawag na association between two variables. Example, your independent variable is the class discussion of Dr. Nuki, example lang. IV. And DV, students learning. Parang ang tanong, ang students learning ba ay nakadepende sa discussion ng teacher? Parang ganon. You are already making a conjecture. Ang tawag doon, inference. No? Kaya merong mga tinatawag na inferential statistics. So pag inferential statistics, hindi na to basta description. Mag-hypothesis ka na dito. So parang hypothesis mo habang gumagaling ba ang pagtuturo, natututo ba mga estudyante? Pag hindi ba magaling ang teacher, hindi ba natututo ang estudyante? Parang gano'n na kagad yung inferences. Kaya ang gagamitin mo ron, inferential statistics. Doon na lalabas lahat ng klase ng test. Merong t-test, r-test, z-test, etc. etc. So lahat ng mga test na yan, ang tawag dyan is inferential statistics. Maliwanag po ba yon? And then you also need to know the difference between population and sample. Population and sample. So when you say population, you are referring to the entire set of individuals or objects of interest or the measurements obtained from all individuals or object of interest. Meaning to say, to make the long story short ng population, lahat sa Tagalog, pangkalahatan. Halimbawa, sa eskwelahan ninyo, ang total number of students ninyo is 5,000. 5,000. That is population. But if you would like to take a portion or part of the population, that is termed as sample. Kaya magkaiba ang population, magkaiba ang sample. And in statistics, population is represented by capital letter N and sample is represented by small letter n. Yun ang pinagkaiba ng dalawa. Mabagal o mabilis?
Sakto lang, sir.
Ayos lang po, sir.
Ayos lang. Clear naman po?
Opo.
Okay, sige. All right. So this is an example of the diagram showing an illustration of the population and sample. So the bigger box here is an example of population where these things inside the box are the possible respondents. Did you see that? These are the possible respondents. But if there are chances that you cannot take all of them, siguro masyadong malaki kaya di mo sila makuha lahat, you can take a sample size. So sample, these are items selected from the population. That is the difference between population and sample. No? And of course, when we say sampling size, meron ding sampling methodology. No? We have non-probability sampling and probability sampling, which we will discuss later on pa yun. Sige. I'm just giving you an overview or introduction of statistics. Familiar na ba kayo sa dinidiscuss ko o hindi pa?
Hindi pa po.
Hindi pa po.
Good. Very good. Kasi
Hindi pa po.
pag familiar na, skip ko na kasi sayang oras natin. Gusto ko kasi bagong knowledge ang naibibigay ko.
First time po namin.
Okay, first time. Very good. So at least may bagong knowledge kayong natututunan ngayon. Kasi baka mamaya sabi ko na-take up nyo na to di ko na ulitin. No? So when you say inferential statistics, there is such thing as estimation and hypothesis testing. No? When you say estimation, example, estimate the population mean weight using the sample mean weight. Parang ganon. Inferential statistics yon. And then, part of estimation also is you do a hypothesis testing. No? Example, you test the claim that the population mean weight is 70 kilogram. Parang ganon. And when you say hypothesis testing, dito papasok yung tinatawag na null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. By the way, what is hypothesis? Any idea about hypothesis?
Wild guess?
Scientific guess po.
Wild guess.
Educational guess po. Educational guess.
Yes. Oo, okay, pwede. Oo. Parang gusto ko yung wild guess kasi dapat pa nag-guess ka pala, wild ka. No? Paano ba ka wild dapat yun? O, sige, pwede rin educational guess or scientific guess. Ibig sabihin, meron kang basis pag sinabing scientific yung guess mo, no? Example, yung hypothesis mo na there is no significant difference between Section A and Section B in terms of their performances in mathematics, parang ganon. Or there is no significant difference in the teaching performance of teachers with master's degree and without master's degree. Parang you are comparing, parang ganon. Pwede ka rin mag-correlate. Halimbawa, ang hypothesis mo na the leadership behavior of the principals does not significantly affect the performance of the teachers. So those are examples of hypotheses. It may be null or it may be alternative. When you say null, maririnig mo palaging no. No significant relationship. No significant difference. Null yun. Pag tinanggal mo yung no, automatic yun, alternate yun. Alternative hypothesis yun. Ay, ganun lang kasimple yung difference nung dalawa. Pero kahit alin sa dalawa, ginagamit yon, no? Kahit alin sa dalawa. Parehas siya pwedeng gamitin. So meaning to say that inference is the process of drawing conclusions or making decisions about a population based on sample results, no? Please be reminded that if you are going to do a quantitative research and if your population is too large or too big, pwede ka magkaroon ng computation ng sample size. Merong scientific method para malaman mo kung ilan lang ang isasama mo sa respondents mo, sa study mo. And traditionally, meron tinatawag na Slovene's formula. Narinig niyo na yon? Slovene's formula? Hindi pa? Pupunta tayo doon. Merong manual computation. But right now, meron na mga software that will assist you in computing for your sample size. One of them is RowSoft, no? So, saka tayo pupunta doon kapag yun yung topic natin. But I'm just giving you an overview of what inferential statistics is. So, meaning sampling is a sample. A sample should have the same characteristics as the population it is representing. So, ano ibig sabihin yan? Pag sinabi mong respondents mo ay teachers or elementary teachers, dapat lahat ng pagkukuhanan mo, elementary teachers. Hindi ka pwedeng kumuha sa college or sa graduate school or sa high school. O pag sinabi mo namang grade 5 or junior high school, huwag kang kukuha sa senior high school. No? Kasi yun ang rule. Dapat the same characteristics as the population it is representing. So yun ang ibig sabihin ng sampling. Okay na yan. Kaya nga ang pinaka common at famous na ginagamit sa sampling is itong picking from the candy from the bowl. Fish bowl. 'Di ba? Parang yung mga nagpapa-Christmas party kayo noon. Meron kayong planggana o meron kayong meron kayong balde o fishbowl. Nandun lahat yung mga pangalan ng mga gusto niyo mabunot. And bubunutin niyo sino mga nanalo sa raffle. Parang gano'n, raffle. O pwede rin na may lottery ticket ito. A member of the population may be chosen only once. Lottery ticket 'yon. Kasi sa loto, kung ano yung lumabas na number, hindi mo pwedeng ibalik. Yun na yun. Sa PCSO, kung hindi, yari ka, may headline ka. Ang tawag doon, sampling without replacement. Meron din tinatawag na sampling with replacement. Halimbawa, yung paraffle mo sa birthday mo, nabunot mo si ganito, si Pedro. Wala si Pedro. Sorry, bubunot ka ng bago. So ang tawag doon, sampling with replacement. In short, sampling pa din yun. And the advantage about sampling is that you are giving all the respondents an equal chances of being selected to become respondent of your study. Bias or non-bias? Bias or non-bias?
Non-bias po.
Non-bias, very good. Kasi you are giving an equal chance to everyone to become selected in your study. Kaya sampling ang ginagawa doon. Kaya ang loto ay hindi madaya yan kasi non-bias yan. Kasi umiikot yung tambyolo kung saan pumapasok yung number doon. Nagiging bias yan kung halimbawa nandun sa tambyolo, sinilip mo, tapos pinili mo yung number na gusto mo lumabas. Hindi na sampling yun. Bias ka na nun. No? So there are different methods in sampling. Sampling methods can be random, which means to say that each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. Random. Everyone has an equal chance of being selected. Pag sinabi namang non-random, yun yung bias. No? But the actual process of sampling causes sampling errors. Nagkakaroon siya ng sampling errors. For example, the sample may not be large enough or representative of the population. Factors not related to the sampling process cause non-sampling errors. A defective counting device can cause a non-sampling error. Ibig sabihin, if your population is very small, tapos nag-sampling ka pa, magkakaroon ka na ng error nun. Kasi bakit? Konti lang eh. Malaki ang chance na yung mga napipili mo, nakikita mo na. Kaya mas maganda ginagawang sampling kapag masyado ng malaki. Yan ang tanong, gaano ba kalaki yung malaki? Ay siguro more than 500. Kapag more than 500 na yung possible respondents mo, di mag-sampling ka na. Anyway, masteral pa lang naman yan eh. O kung sa isang school, ang estudyante nyo is 5,000, mag-sampling ka na lang kasi hindi mo naman makukuha lahat ng estudyante dyan sa school na yan. Parang ganon. So these are the different types or methods of random sampling. One of them is simple random sample. Each sample of the same size has an equal chance of being selected. Yan yung simple random sample. Another one is stratified sample. You divide the population into groups called strata and then take a sample from each stratum. Stratum or strata is actually a scientific name. Kung may science teacher dito, pag sinabing strata, layers yan, layers of skin. Halimbawa, stratum corneum, stratum germinativum, stratum basale. Ito yun, balat yun. May mga different layers yan. Ngayon, pag sinabing stratified, by layer ang iyong pagpili. Halimbawa, ang respondents mo ay mga senior high, let's say, basic education students. Pero ang basic education students mo sa school mo ay mula kinder hanggang grade 12. So, pwede kang kumuha per layer, per strata. For example, meron kang respondent sa kinder, meron kang respondent sa grade 1, grade 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on and so forth. That becomes stratified sample. Now, when the population becomes bigger, you can now use cluster sampling or sample. You divide the population into strata and then randomly select some of the strata. All the members from this strata are in the cluster sample. Paki-mute po ng sounds para hindi tayo maingay, no? So cluster ang tawag doon. You divide the population into strata. So dinivide mo na siya. Halimbawa, senior high, junior high. Ano ba yung nasa ibaba? Sa baba ng junior high. Ay, mga teachers dito. Senior, junior, ano yung nasa baba?
Elementary po.
Intermediate.
Primary.
Primary. So,
Primary.
Tama. Dinivide mo muna yung strata na yon, and then kumuha ka bawat isa, and then that becomes cluster. All the members from this strata are in the cluster sample. No? And then pwede ring systematic sample. This is randomly selecting a starting point and take every nth piece of data from a listing of the population. Halimbawa, you have a 400 population or sample size 400. And then, hindi pala. The total population, for example, is 400. Kaya lang, when you compute for the sample size, lumabas, for example, 200. No? So 200 divided by, 400 divided by 200, ilan? 400 ang population mo. Ang kailangan mo lang 200.
20.
So 400 divided by 200, ilan?
2. Dalawa.
2 lang po, sir. 2.
Okay, very good. Ibig sabihin, when you do the systematic sampling design, kukunin mo yung every second respondent. Halimbawa, out of 400, mabibilang ka. Ay, meron nakaunang sa... Ayan, salamat po. So, halimbawa, kung 2 ang sagot nyo doon sa 400 divided by 200 ay 2, ganito ang gagawin mo. Every 400, sa 400 na yon, magbibilang ka. 1, 2. O, yun ang first respondent mo. 3, 4. Yun ang pangalawang respondent mo. 5, 6. Yun ang pangatlong respondent mo. Yung ibig sabihin nun, every second element of every second respondent of the total population. Ang tawag doon ay systematic sampling design. Nakuha niyo po ba?
Opo.
Yes po.
Do you have any clarification about random sampling? Was it clear? Okay, kung walang question, let's proceed. Okay, let's proceed to the next. So when we say descriptive statistics, there are scientific steps that you need to observe when you do your descriptive statistics. Pag nagpa-stat ka, ay unang-una, syempre, kailangan you collect the data. Kaya nakalagay dyan, no? Data collection. Kaya sa research process natin kanina, may kasamang stat kasi data collection doon, statistical yun. No? One example is survey. Siyempre naman, dahil pandemic ngayon, di ko kayo i-allow na mag face-to-face. Kaya nga sabi ko sa inyo, magkakaroon tayo ng isang session na patuturuan ko kayo sa isang IT or dalawang IT namin na gumawa ng online survey na hindi nyo na kailangang lumabas at pumunta sa respondents, no? And then of course, after collecting the data, you need to make sense of the data by presenting them, no? Either through tables or graphs. Doon na nag-uumpisa ang statistical computation. Because when you do the summary of your data, ibig sabihin, nagko-compute ka na ng mga either, katulad yan, descriptive statistics. Ang example ng descriptive ay mean, sample mean. Parang summation of x over n. Yan ang sample mean. But again, we are in the 21st century at kayo ay mga batang-bata pa, talaga namang pang technology kayo. Kaya hindi ko na kayo pagma-manual computation. Wala nang manual computation. Lahat ay puro software na. Meron ba rito nagvo-volunteer na gusto pa ring mag-manual at ayaw mag-software?
Wala po.
Wala. Kasi baka gusto niyo mag-memorize ng formula, baka gusto niyo mag-manual computation, tuturuan ko pa rin naman kayo. Kaya lang, ang point ko, kung ituturo ko yon at hindi na yung trending ngayon, laos na yon, hindi na yun sayang naman, hindi nyo na magagamit. Kasi nga dapat ang research palaging updated, no? Lalo tayo mga teachers, no? My dear colleagues in the academe, huwag tayong magtuturo ng mga obsolete na. Or else kawawa yung mga Generation Z. Generation Z na sila eh. Tayo millennial eh. Sila Z. Kawawa naman ng Generation Z students natin ay hindi na naka-adjust sa mga pagbabago. So, hindi ko kayo pagmamanual computing. Walang manual computation. If I am presenting a formula, this is just for the purpose of discussion, but not for any activity na pagagawin ko kayo ng manual computation. So when you say statistical data, the collection of data that are relevant to the problem being studied is commonly the most difficult, expensive, and time-consuming part of the entire research project. Ito yung collection of data. Why? Kasi pag sinabing collection of data, you need to abide by the Data Privacy Act. Alam nyo naman yung Data Privacy Act, ano? Now, when you collect personal informations from the students, hindi nyo dapat inilalabas yun. Hindi dapat ipinopost. Ano yung mga hindi pinopost? Yung personal number ng estudyante, yung birthday niya, yung age niya, yung grades niya, etc. etc. Hindi pinopost yun. Kaya it is important that you know the provisions for data privacy. And tawag dito, that's why that is the commonly the most difficult kasi nga there are times na yung respondents ay hindi nakikisama. There are times na yung respondents ay ayaw sumagot. There are times na yung respondents hindi binabasa, check lang ng check. Halimbawa, questionnaire ka, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hindi niya binasa kung ano meaning ng 5 at saka 1. Yung pala sa instrument mo, 1 ang highest, 5 ang lowest. Ang pagkakaintindi niya, 5 ang highest, 1 ang lowest. So, chinek niya yung 5. So, mali ang parang naging sagot niya. Most expensive, kasi nga, gagawa kayo ng system. Buti nga ngayon, ipapalibre ko na dahil nag-invite ako ng expert sa IT, papaturuan ko na kayo gumawa kung paano gumawa ng online survey form. So anong naitipid nyo rito? Nakatipid kayo sa reproduction ng questionnaire. Di ba pag nagde-data collection kayo, mamimigay kayo ng questionnaire para sagutan nila. So hindi na kayo magpapa-Xerox, hindi na kayo magre-reproduce. And of course, the time-consuming part of the entire research project. Time-consuming kasi once you collected your data, magtatabulate ka na at mag-i-statistics ka na. Kaya medyo time-consuming siya. And when we say statistical data, these are usually obtained by counting or measuring items. And these are categorized into two. Meron tayong primary data and secondary data. When you say primary data, these are collected specifically for the analysis desired. Example, dito sa screen ko, ang nakikita kong pangalan ay si Philip Reyes. Example, si Philip Reyes. Meron akong questionnaire. Sample lang to. Tapos pinasagutan ko sa kanya. Binalik niya sa akin yung questionnaire na may sagot. Yung sagot niya, data yon. Ang tawag doon, primary data. Kasi ako mismo yung nanguha or nakakolekta ng data from the respondent. That's what you call primary data. Pero kapag ang data mo, for example, ang kailangan mong data ay grades ng mga college students. O, in your experience, okay, grades na lang ng graduate students para nakaka-relate kayo yun. O, in your case, saan kayo kumukuha ng grades ninyo? Registrar, very good. So, ibig sabihin, primarily, ang registrar ang nangongolekta ng data. Because the function of the registrar is to keep safe, safekeeping of your records and information and grades. Pero pag nanghingi ka ng grades sa kanila at binigyan ka nila, that becomes secondary data. Kasi hindi ikaw ang unang nangolekta. May una nang nangolekta, hiningi mo na lang. That's why secondary data have already been compiled and are available for statistical analysis. So yun, meron dalawang klase ng data. Primary and secondary data. A variable is an item of interest that can take on many different numerical values. Na-discuss natin kanina yan, mga variables na yan. Ang ibig sabihin natin ng variable ay topic. Halimbawa, IQ. IQ is an example of variable. And pag sinabing IQ, test yan, ini-scorean, may numerical values. No? O halimbawa na lang, comprehensive examination. That's an example of variable na meron numerical values. No? A constant has a fixed numerical value. Sa lahat ng formula, meron tinatawag na constant. No? Constant siya, ibig sabihin, hindi mo siya gagalawin. Example, bigyan ko kayo ng formula about the formula in computing for the sample size. Slovene's formula. Slovene's formula. If you would like to take down notes, it is spelled as SLOVIN''S. Slovene's. Slovene's formula. So yung Slovene's formula na yon, ang formula nun is small letter n, i-dictate ko ha, small letter n is equal to capital letter N over 1 plus alpha squared. Nakuha nyo? Small letter n is equal to capital letter N over 1 plus capital letter N alpha squared. Ulitin ko. Small letter n is equal to capital letter N over 1 plus capital letter N alpha squared. Yun yung formula ng Slovene's, where small letter n is your target sample size, capital letter N is your total population, and alpha is constant. Pag sinabi natin constant, hindi siya nagbabago. And that constant alpha is 0.05. 0.05. So yun ang sinasabi dyan, that statistical data would have a constant, no? And that constant cannot be changed, meaning it is fixed, no? Fixed siya, so therefore hindi mo siya pwedeng baguhin, no? Nakuha niyo po ba 'yon? I'm sorry. Yan. So any question about descriptive statistics and about statistical data? Meron kayong tanong? I'm now opening the floor for clarification about the discussion, the preliminary discussion that we had today. Anyone? Dapat yung mga lumipat dito ang magtatanong. Ay, yung mga lumipat. Sige, sit in na lang. Joke lang. Any clarification? Ibig sabihin, walang tanong, malinaw? So far, clear ang discussion?
Opo.
All right.
Malinaw po.
Okay, very good.
Malinaw po.
Malinaw na malinaw po. Sige, very good. So therefore, it is important that when you study statistics, and if you would like to connect statistics to research, you are very familiar with the two types of statistics, which is descriptive and inferential. Descriptive and inferential. Ulitin ko, when you say descriptive, we are talking about mean, median, mode, standard deviation, quartile deviation, etc., etc. On the other hand, when you say naman inferential, you are actually talking about either correlation or comparison or prediction. Nakita niyo yung difference ng dalawa? Descriptive statistics is just merely describing the data. Dinescribe mo lang na halimbawa, based on the data, the rating of the students to the class is, let's say, 5/10. O, dinescribe mo lang yon. Pero pag nagkaroon ka na ng comparison, paano magiging siyang inferential? Nagkaroon ka na ng comparison. Halimbawa, the other prof has a rating of 6/10 and the other prof naman has a rating of 5/10. You compare. And then you test whether there is a significant difference between the performance of the two professors. Ang tawag doon ay inferential statistics na. Or yung kanina, if you would like to correlate, for example, the intelligence quotient with the national achievement test of the students, that is already an inferential statistics. Nakuha niyo po ba yung difference? Ulitin ko. Pag sinabing descriptive, univariable. Ano ibig sabihin ng uni? Any idea? Uni?
One.
You are only describing one variable. Kaya univariable. Descriptive yon. Pero when your data become more than one or two or more, then hindi na siya univariable. It becomes bivariable. Ano ibig sabihin ng bi?
Two po.
Or multivariable. Or marami, more than two. Kaya kung may narinig na kayo na bivariate analysis, multivariate analysis, ano na yon? Inferential statistics na yon. No? Pag sinabi namang univariable, descriptive statistics lang yon. And speaking also of data, you need to be familiar with the different kinds of data. One kind of data is, hinahanap ko rito sa aking PowerPoint, parang nawawala. One kind of data is, of course, numerical data. As the term implies, this numerical or interval data is number. Number siya, numerical, ang data niya. But there are data that are categorical or nominal. Balikan ko lang muna yung numerical or interval. Halimbawa, academic performance, number yon. Salary, number yon. Age, number yon. So anything about number is called numerical or interval data. Pero when it becomes categorical or nominal, ang example na nun is occupation, gender, race, ano ba? Color of house, etc., etc. So these are non-numerical. Meron din tinatawag na ordinal. Ordinal. From the word order. Ano kaya sa palagay niyo ibig sabihin ng order?
Sequence.
Position po.
Sequence, pagkakasunod.
Positions. Ano pa?
First, second, third.
Ano yun? Ano yun?
Sequence.
Sequence. Ano pa? May nanap akong term na ginagamit sa statistics.
Places.
Aha. Ano pa? Malapit na. Lumalapit na ng konti.
Logical.
Order.
Ordinal. Oh, from the word ordinal, order. Ano ibig sabihin ng order?
In order.
Order. Ano ba yun? Yung ba yung ino-order niyo sa Maxes o sa...
Sunod-sunod po.
In order.
Hierarchy.
Chronological.
Hierarchy.
Leading order.
Hierarchy. Malapit na.
Chronological po.
Chronological. Malapit na rin.
Rank.
Ano yun?
Rank.
Rank. Ano yun? Very good. Sino yung nagsabi ng rank?
Rank.
Sino yun?
Papa.
Sino? Pwede malaman yung pangalan?
Paolo. Franz Paolo pa.
Paulo?
Franz Paolo pa. Ako pa.
Ranz Paulo. Very good. Tama yun. Rank sa statistics. Rank ang ginagamit. Paulo, meron kang +1.
Thank you po.
Very good. Kung ang grade mo ay flat 1, +1, magiging flat 2 ka.
Thank you po.
Buwaba ba tuloy yan? So yun, tama yung rank ang ginagamit doon. Kaya nga di ba meron tinatawag na first, second, third, fourth, fifth, etc. etc. No? And finally, ratio. Ratio and proportion. So meron kang numerical or interval, nominal or categorical, ordinal or rank, and ratio and proportion. Ito yung mga 1:2, 2:5, etc. etc. Kasama na dyan yung percentage. Kasi pag nag-ratio and proportion ka, may percentage na rin yan. So bakit nyo kailangan malaman yung mga terminologies na yon? Kasi yun yung mga klase ng data na a-attendan nyo or i-compute nyo sa statistics na dapat marunong kayo mag-identify ng klase ng data na meron. Did you get that?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes po.
Okay. Any questions so far? Wala. So your first assignment is you are going to download and study the steps in hypothesis testing. Steps in hypothesis testing. That will be your assignment for next meeting. So pwedeng ang submission ay sa Facebook, no? Again, maglalagay ako ng comment sa FB page natin. And then doon nyo na lang i-comment yung assignment ninyo. Doon ang submission. Para yun na lang palagi kong i-check kung nakapag-submit kayo or hindi. Steps in hypothesis testing. Either wag na kayo mag-attach ng Word. Yung i-open pa at magtatagal pa bago ma-open. Yung lang, yung kahit picture lang, kahit i-print screen nyo lang para makita ko lang kung meron kayong nabasa na steps in hypothesis testing. Baka naman i-download pa yan, mga ilang megabytes pa yan. Usually, pag kinoment nyo, pwedeng picture type na lang or JPEG or whatever. Basta wag na yung i-download. Wag Excel, wag Word documents, etc. etc. Basta yung madali siyang mabasa for easier checking. Check ko lang naman yun para sa parang pinaka-attendance ko na yun sa sa statistics pag kayo ay nag-post doon, no? So once again, ang kailangan natin, ang requirement natin, we are done with our preliminary introduction about statistics. May natutunan ba kayo?
Yes po. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes po.
Yes po.
Very good.
po, sir. Thank you.
Marami po.
Dami po.
Very good.
Marami po, sir.
Thank you. So ang gagawin natin ngayon ay I-off ko na yung i-off ko na itong PowerPoint ko. I-stop ko na yung sharing. And kailangan nyo nang picture ng tawag dito ng gallery view para ang requirement again ipo-post